always think is fascinating about Columbia College is we were founded in 1854 when the world was very different, but we were founded, our statement says, to educate women to be of service to the church, the state, and the nation. And while the church, the state, and the nation have changed a lot since 1854, and certainly the roles of women have changed a lot in that time, we're still doing the same thing. We're still educating women for a new church, state, and nation. Out of our mission to do that, we developed the 4 C's of leadership development. We first had to say, what is a Columbia College leader? And we said a leader at Columbia College is not about the position you hold, but about the difference you make. So we said, what does it take to be sure that you can make a difference, that you can identify change and bring it about and sustain it? So we know that you have to start with courage. You have to start with the courage to see yourself as a leader. You have to start with the courage to take the risk that it takes to make things different. The next thing it takes is commitment. It gets difficult when you start trying to change things and people get nervous and start to resist, and you have to be committed to being sure you carry through and make that difference. Then it takes confidence. You've got to step outside we require that our students step outside the comfortable walls of Columbia College and try their wings out there and get assessed by people who don't know them and aren't there to support them, and develop confidence from that experience. And then we say that it takes the competence to follow through. Not just competence as an educated person, but as a leader. So we expect our students to reflect on their mistakes, figure out what they learned from those, and develop into competent leaders.
One of the challenges we face in South Carolina here that there's not a lot of women in the legislature. Is there a way, kind of a long-term, I know this maybe won't turn around overnight, but how can we get more women involved maybe in politics?
One of the things that we've tried doing through our Alliance for Women at Columbia College is getting more women involved at a more basic level. We've developed a talent bank of women who can be appointed to state boards and commissions. And we are a resource for the government as they look for women appointees, and really encourage them to contact us when they're looking for someone with a particular set of skills. We feel like if women get started at that level, they get passionate, they get involved, they get networked, and pretty soon, we hope, they're running for office and succeeding.
Mm-hmm. You've gone, and just one more thing, you've gone through a recent strategic process here at the college, kind of identifying strengths and weaknesses. What were a few of the strengths and weaknesses, and where's the college going to be in 10 years?
Well, one of the things that we find in higher education, and I guess it's true in many environments, is we have a tendency to do things because we've always done them, or do them the way we've always done them. So what we did was look at some of the programs that have historically been here that over the years have grown less strong, less viable, and either change those programs. One of the great things that we discovered through this process is that we've historically had a strong music program. We had recently received some equipment that would allow the students to be more involved in the technology of production of music, but we were not using that in our curriculum, and so we've redesigned the curriculum to make sure that those components are updated for today's students. Some of the programs we decided to eliminate. Others we've identified opportunities to maybe reach out to students in a new generation and find some distinctive programs that we hope will appeal to them.
Yeah. And what is it, like, if you were to just say to a high school student, what is most unique about Columbia College? Why come here?
Well, for us, the first and most obvious answer is we're a women's college, to which most 17-year-old girls scream and run away.
Yeah.
And so we have to find that way to make it clear to them that this is an opportunity to develop a side of themselves that they're not likely to develop otherwise. Often people say to me, aren't you just delaying the inevitable? Don't they just come to a women's college, they have great experience, but then they're 22 and they've delayed being competitive in a diverse world? And what I always say is what we find again and again and again is at that crucial time, 18 to 22, young women here find their voice. And once they've found it, they don't lose it when they get out in that world. I've had students say to me, I went home over the summer and went to summer school in a co-ed program, and I couldn't believe it. I was the only woman in there who'd speak up. Well, they learned that at Columbia College. And so knowing the power of a women's college, we know that only 3% of the women who have bachelor's degrees graduated from women's colleges, and yet 20% of the women in Congress are women's college graduates. 30% of Business Week's rising corporate stars were women or women's college graduates. So there's something magic that happens there, and if we can get 17-year-olds to give it a shot, they'll see the magic too.